Despite being overseas, President Trump is standing firm on his policies at home. At a press conference in London Tuesday, President Trump said he plans to move ahead with imposing tariffs on Mexico. A 5% levy will be slapped on imports starting June 10th. Mr. Trump says it's an effort to stop the flow of people crossing the border, and he's threatening to go further. The levy has the potential to reach 25%. It will increase each month unless action is taken. The president's decision is now being criticized by some members of his own party. Here's what Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told CBS News' Nancy Cordes Tuesday.
If the president does impose the tariffs next week, will you try to block those tariffs?
Well, what I'm telling you is we're hoping that doesn't happen. And we appreciated the opportunity. We spent almost our entire lunch talking to representatives from the White House about this issue. I know the Mexican delegation is here. Apparently, these talks are going well. And I think our hope is that the tariffs will be avoided.
And Nancy Cordes joins me now from Capitol Hill. Hi, Nancy. The president says it would be, quote, foolish for Republicans to try to stop him from imposing these tariffs. What options are GOP lawmakers weighing if they do decide to go against the president's advice?
Right. So they could hold a vote on a resolution disapproving of the president's tariffs. He does need congressional approval. The trick here is, though, that they would need to mount a veto-proof majority. So let's say that this resolution passed. It would then get sent to the president. And if he disagreed with it, he could veto it, at which point it would need to come back to Capitol Hill and they'd need to have a 2/3 majority. But the reality is that in the Senate, it's quite possible that they could mount that majority. That is how much disapproval there is within the president's own party of the path that he is saying that he is going to go down. Republicans, for the most part, have long been free traders. So the idea of tariffs makes them nervous. They say that their farmers and their manufacturers have been feeling the pinch for months from tariffs that the president slapped on Chinese goods. They say that it hurts their consumers here at home because the Chinese retaliated. And Mexico is a huge trading partner of the United States. And so while many Republicans wholeheartedly support his attempts to try to get Mexico more engaged, to try to prevent people from crossing the southern border illegally, they don't believe that tariffs are the way to do that.
And Nancy, part of the Republicans' criticism is due to the pending North American trade deal that's in the works to replace NAFTA. And this is a deal that the president himself has also worked on. So how can we expect those negotiations to be impacted?
Right. They say, you can't really play four-dimensional chess. It's too much. That the U.S. is already working on this complicated trade agreement with Mexico and Canada before you even throw this tariff fight into the mix. And frankly, there's a significant amount of opposition to this trade deal right now among congressional Democrats. So you only imperil those trade negotiations further if you throw something that they also disagree with, tariffs, into the mix. Democrats have concerns about this trade agreement because they don't feel that there are enough teeth having to do with making sure that Mexico pays it, make sure the workers are paid enough, that they are treated fairly. Democrats argue that if you don't put those controls in place, then Mexican workers will always be making pennies on the dollar compared to American workers, and Mexican goods will therefore always be cheaper. They say it hurts the U.S., and they are trying to force the administration to slow down and not seek final ratification of the trade deal until those controls can be put in place. So you layer this tariff fight on top of all of that, and you can see how complicated this already very delicate dance becomes.
Absolutely. Chess was a good metaphor. All right. So, Nancy, sticking with Capitol Hill, the Trump administration directed 2 witnesses Tuesday not to cooperate with congressional subpoenas. This included the president's former aide, Hope Hicks, who's being asked to testify and provide documents related to her service at the White House. What kind of congressional action can we expect in response to this?
Well, I don't think that that Democrats in the House are going to move as quickly to hold Hope Hicks in contempt of Congress, for instance, as they were to hold the current Attorney General Barr in contempt of Congress. They're going to wait and see how this process plays out. The president's lawyers made a pretty decent argument that the reason that they are preventing Hicks right now from handing over everything that she has pertaining to her time in the White House is because the Judiciary Committee is already in negotiations with the Justice Department to try to get its hands on a narrow subset of that material. So what the White House is saying is, look, let's slow down here. Let's see how your negotiations work out with the Justice Department, and then we can decide if there is more material that you need from Hicks on top of what you're getting from the Justice Department. And so we haven't heard Judiciary Committee Democrats say at this point that they're intending to hold her in contempt of Congress, but obviously there is this simmering frustration, Tanya, among Democrats who say that none of their requests, whether it's to the Justice Department or to the White House or former White House officials, ever are fully complied with.
I mean, the list of ignored subpoenas just keeps growing and growing. Nancy Cortez on Capitol Hill, we thank you so much.
You're welcome.